Good morning, it's good to be with you again today. And I want to talk today on the subject of a faith that overcomes. And it's taken from 1 Peter chapter 1 and verses 6 and 7. Let me read it to you. For a little while, you may have to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honour when Jesus Christ is revealed. Peter has been talking in his letter about new birth and a living hope that follows on from the resurrection. Next, he speaks about faith and its value, how precious faith is, about its need to be genuine, and how that faith grows. But the context suddenly changes. He's been talking about the glorious things that follow on from the resurrection, but now he speaks about grief and all kinds of trials, and how important it is that we think about faith in the context of grief and trials, especially amidst our present COVID-19 crisis. At the moment, there's huge worry over health, and rightly so. There's huge worry about the economy, and will things be the same when we come out of the tunnel at the other end? And today, there are people facing acute hardship with loss of income, loss of jobs. So having faith at the present time is of tremendous significance and importance. The central thought of this passage is how Jesus allows these trials and this grief to refine our faith and to strengthen our faith. At the beginning of verse 7, he uses the little phrase, "These have come so that." In other words, God is using these things for a purpose. And Peter himself once had a hard lesson to learn. Shortly before dawn, on the Sea of Galilee, when the disciples were straining at the oars to get home, and the boat was buffeted by the wind and the waves, they see a ghost, or they think they do. It is, in fact, Jesus. And as Jesus approaches the boat, he says, "Take courage. It is I. Don't be afraid." And Peter says to the Lord, he says, "Well, if it's you, bid me to come to you." And the Lord says, "Come." And Peter goes. And to start off with, it's all right. But then immediately when he looks at the wind and the waves, he's afraid and he sinks. And he cries out, "Lord, save me." And the scriptures then say immediately Jesus reached out his hand, caught him, and said, "You have little faith. Why did you doubt?" Faith in Jesus is God's gift to us. When we become a Christian, God gives us the faith. But that's not the end of the story. Jesus wants our faith in him to grow. We may have expressed faith in Jesus, but it's so easy then for our faith to be threatened by doubt, fear, self-interest, and for our lives to become diverted to a place of fear, despair, uncertainty. Just think of a young child learning to ride his or her bike. To start off with, they will have stabilizers, and they'll become quite accomplished on those stabilizers. But every parent will know there comes a time where those stabilizers need to be removed. And as the stabilizers are removed, there will be a few knocks along the way. Maybe the child will think, "Well, I didn't fall, but that's only because Mum was holding on to me." And then a bit later, "Ouch, I've grazed my knee. I don't want to get on that bike again." Griefs and trials are God's way of strengthening our faith. But Jesus teaches us to overcome life's hardships through faith, by encouraging and nurturing the growth of our faith. So that when we face a hardship, we don't look at the winds and the waves or the troubles, the difficulties, the anxieties. Instead, we refocus on Jesus himself. And eventually in the Bible, there's an astonishing turnaround, so that Paul is rejoicing in his weaknesses because he knows that in his weakness, God will strengthen him. In weakness, he won't be defending on self. And some astonishing words of James, the brother of Jesus. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. So don't look at the hardships you're facing. Look to Jesus. He won't fail you. Stepping forward in faith, moment by moment, day by day, will actually be a great encouragement, because as you look back, you'll see the amazing way in which Jesus has helped you. How Jesus has reached out his hand and has said to you, take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid.